Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Adobe Fonts Show, episode 25, Combining Type and Images.
Welcome, we're live.
We are live once again. Ari, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Doing all right, doing all right. Excited about this one. We'll get into that in a little bit. I see there's already some people in the chat who've joined us. Carol, Frank, Cody, awesome. Mike, thank you for joining once again. Good to have you.
Yes. And let us know where you're from in the chat when you do say hi to us so we can call you out.
Indeed. I'm in Brooklyn, by the way. For those of you that are new, my name's Ben. And yeah, if you're on the East Coast, let us know. Actually, wherever you are, let us know. But I particularly want to know if you happen to be on the East Coast. Could be cool. So.
Yes.
Oh,
Carol says she's wearing the same stripes as me.
nice.
So we're matching.
Anyone with
twinning.
Now I'm jealous. So anyone with a red hoodie, please chime in. Let me know. Or a blue shirt. Blue shirt's fine also. So.
Or a beard.
Or a beard. I'll take anything at this point.
So I'll introduce myself for those of you that haven't joined us before. I'm Ari, the library manager for Adobe Fonts. My team works with all the foundry partners that design the fonts that are included in your Creative Cloud subscription. We currently have over 150 partners and consistently add fonts to expand our library.
That's a very important thing. That's all the fonts that you get to know and love. I am Ben. I work on, well, I'm a content producer. So I work on the Adobe Fonts team to create things like this live stream. I started out in support and answered a bunch of questions about fonts and all of that stuff for a long time. And then now I make things so that you can understand and get the most out of fonts in Creative Cloud. So yeah. For those of you that are joining us for the first time, Adobe Fonts is a very large library of over 20,000 fonts that you can use with your Creative Cloud subscription. And these are allowed for both personal and commercial use. So you can use them in just about any project. And so if you're not sure where to start, I would go to the Adobe Fonts website and check out fonts.adobe.com and go to the recommendations section. That's where you can definitely get started and find a bunch of cool stuff. So check that out.
Yes, and here on the Adobe Fonts show, we talk about all things fonts and have great workshops with professionals in the type world. If you like the show, subscribe to Creative Cloud on YouTube and follow us on Behance, Adobe Fonts on Behance, to be updated on all future episodes and access previous episodes. We have a lot of people that are telling us where they're from. Barbara's in Nashville, Ernie's in San Jose, Frank's in Montreal, Mwendwa's in Nairobi, Diana's in Maryland, Zanet is from Iceland.
Whoa. People from all over the place.
We have Norsh back. Good to see you again. We have Gareth. Norsh is asking, what's hump day? Because everyone's saying happy hump day. It's just another way of saying Wednesday because the
middle of the week
starts here and then we get to Wednesday. And once we're over Wednesday, we're over the hump. And then it's just easier. It's just smooth sailing downhill.
Indeed. We're just riding into the weekend after Wednesday. So thank you all for joining us for Hump Day. We appreciate it.
Yes, special Hump Day treat. So I think we can move on to show a little demo. Oh, our poll, I forgot.
We have a fun little poll today. Just have fun with it. But what's your current weather forecast where you are? And maybe use emoji to tell us if you feel like it. That last one was my attempt at singing in the rain, which is not really a weather forecast exactly, but I couldn't help myself because, you know, I'm sure you understand. But yeah, throw some emoji in there and let us know how things look where you're at. For me, it would be definitely partially cloudy, I think, is the thing over here. How's it going on your end, Ari?
I have to find the right emoji. It's been quite warm. It's sunny, but not like the middle row that has like a sweating person that's not happy.
Yeah.
It's like you're happy. with how sunny it is
It's like
here.
sunny with a smiley face.
Yes, I'm going to put a cat smiley face and then a sun with sunglasses. That's going to be mine. I'm going to put it in the chat.
Nice.
Wow, they really joined together in my view in the chat.
Oh, yeah.
They're like friends. Oh, that's not a sun. It's just a person with sunglasses. I don't know why I said that.
It kind of
A
looks like a sun
person.
that when it's that small. I'm gonna go with sun with sunglasses.
Keith put like a zombie as their forecast.
Whoa.
So
I'm,
that's a little bit scary.
it is. That sounds intense. I hope everything's okay there, Keith.
And we have, wow, Sean's forecast looks a little bit apocalyptic.
Indeed.
I love all these. This is a good poll.
Yeah, we should next time we should do movie titles and emoji and see if we can come up with some fun ones.
Ooh.
Back to the
Yeah,
Future
I
might be
love those
fun.
quizzes.
Yeah.
But it's so hard sometimes.
My favorite one I remember was Run Forest Run, and it was a person running and then evergreen trees and then a person running. And I was like, oh, that's a good one.
That's really good. So I'm going to jump over to a little demo to get us started. We like to show you ways to use the Adobe Fonts website or different product features that involve fonts. So today I wanted to show you something new in CC Express. For those of you that have not used Creative Cloud Express, it's a new creation tool that's browser-based, or you can also use it on your phone, and it's a new version of Spark, but with a lot of extra features. And in the PDF quick actions, this is something we enabled recently, is editing text and images in a PDF. So I think this is really cool. It's something very practical that I think a lot of people would need. So I have a PDF. I'm just going to drag and drop it in there. And once I do that, I get some choices of fonts that I can use to edit that PDF. And a lot of times the fonts that are in that dropdown will match what's in the PDF as well. And if they don't, at least there's a few different kinds of styles you can use to edit. Okay, it's preparing. And I will point out that the fonts included in this dropdown are available for free and paid users alike.
Good to know.
So here I am. I have my PDF. Let's say I wanted to edit this text box or just this paragraph. It defaulted to Sans Serif Pro because it recognized the font. But I could change it to Proxima Nova, for example, and it's just as easy as that. I could change it to Gil Sans, and it's just pretty seamless to do. I can resize this so that it doesn't interfere with the other text. So it's pretty flexible, and usually, when you're working with a PDF, it just, like, someone sends you a PDF and they're like, oh, I actually needed to change that thing. And it's not that easy to do once it's been created. So this is a really quick thing you can do. It's available in Acrobat as well, but it's also in CC Express and just like much more quickly accessible on your browser. So that's what I wanted to show you as far as a product feature that you can use. And then one other thing, just wanted to remind everyone that we're still in the 36 days of type, and we're seeing a lot of cool projects come out. This one, I believe, is from a prior year, but we found it and we thought it was very appropriate for today because we're talking about combining fonts and images. And this project is from Satyajit Moore. You can follow him on Behance. And I thought this was so cool, the way that he uses these images, and they just bring the letter to life, but they don't take away from its readability at all. They use these really cool vintage images, and they're all themed to a word that starts with that letter. So there's a lot of elements to it, but he got it very right, in my opinion.
Yeah, these came out so good.
Oh, I wanted to zoom in. I love how Freddie Mercury's leg is like part of the cue.
Yeah, it's super clever interaction between the actual letter and the images and how they bust out in certain places to accentuate the letter. Um,
Yeah.
it looks super cool.
So let this be an inspiration to us all.
Indeed. Experimenting with image and type, having fun, and doing cool stuff. Yes.
Yes,
Uh, sp-
indeed.
Speaking of which, that is our topic for today, and I think we'll dive right in. Today we're going to be talking about combining type and images, and this is pretty basic graphic design stuff, pretty high level stuff, but it'll be fun to do some experimentation and just I think one of the key things here is kind of picking the right images and picking the right fonts and just finding things that will work well together and then experimenting. So we're going to dive right in. If you have any questions about this or anything else, let us know in the chat. And we're going to get started with our topic today.
Yes. So I am in Photoshop, and my project today was to create a postcard that is a road trip, and someone's saying, they're sending you a postcard to say, I'm out of here. I'm going on a road trip. See you soon. So Ben came up with the word that we would use, toodaloo, which is another way of saying bye. And it's kind of funny and fun. So I found this image on Adobe Stock. I just searched vintage car beach and it came up. I wouldn't suggest trying to drive this car onto the beach, but it's just an image, so it's not really happening. And there are a few considerations here on how we're going to make this pop, as they say, make this look good. And of course, one of them is what font we're going to use. How are we going to choose that? One of the things I thought would be important is to find something that has a vintage look that would pair with the car. And another really important thing besides font choice is the placement. We have a really big area here. The top left corner of this image is open, and the subject of the image doesn't have to be obstructed with text. We have a lot of area to work with, which is one of the reasons I chose this image. And then the last thing is the color of the text. If we want to add shading, how we're going to style the text at the end to really make it the focal point. Because even though the subject of this is the car, I want the text to be really the thing that makes it stand out, and the message is the most important. So starting with the choice of font, I went in here and I favorited a bunch of fonts that I thought could work for this. So I'm just going to click on the star to filter down to my favorite fonts. And I picked a few so we can go through and see which ones we think look good. This is Estet Nova. And
that's a favorite for sure.
Yes, it is. I'm going to increase the size. Whoops. I'm going to increase the size of this because I think that we can get away with this being larger. And also, it's a little more dynamic if we put it at an angle, and we also have that. The car has that shape where we're filling up more of the white space or sky space with the text if we do this. So I think that looks better. It could even be bigger, but just that change I think is cool. So Aesthete Nova, let me know what everyone thinks, if there's any reactions, and we can kind of vote on which font do we think expresses what we're trying to do here the best. We have Belly. This is one of my favorites that I can use for anything.
So fun.
I just threw it in the mix.
One of my favorite things is the O, the center of the O being tilted.
Yes.
So good.
The contrast is off, which is the best part. We have Casey from Kabarga type, and we have the more condensed and then the more extended version. So I think this one works the best. This one is very cool. Funky Dory.
Ooh.
This definitely gives me a vibe that it's like 60s, fun vacation.
What is that center part of the O called?
The counter.
The counter on this one is almost like an apostrophe or a comma, you know?
Sure. Yeah, an upside down rotated comma.
Yeah.
Ganache. I wonder if this one, let's see, if we could change this T to be, oh, I could have sworn it has other T's. Let me see. Well, I won't waste time on that right now because we're looking through a lot of them. Let's see. Ganache, maybe not. Ooh.
That's fun.
Kansas. Yeah. In Kansas.
And I feel like
can't go wrong with this.
Kansas New and Aesthete Nova share a similar vibe, but Aesthete Nova is maybe a little bit more serious in this context than Kansas New is. Right? Kansas New has a little bit more, looks a little bit more fun or goofy in this context.
And we're also using a much heavier weight of Kansas.
Yeah,
so
that helps.
It
adds to that roundedness.
I think we need a heavyweight here.
Heavyweight champs. Yeah.
Spirit.
I like that too.
I like this one as well. Quincy from Connery Fagan. We just added this, I think yesterday. So it's very new. I think this one is cool as well. If I used this, I might change the tracking a little bit, track it a little closer.
Tighten things up a little bit.
Yeah, just because it's not as heavy as the other ones, I want it to still have that density.
Oh, Cody said that Kansas New looks like the Tootsie Roll font, which is now totally ringing a bell.
Yes, especially because it says TOO.
I know.
That T is exactly like it.
Yeah. Good call.
Cool.
Good call.
This is Quiverleaf. This is very delicate, but I thought it did have some funky elements.
It has a fun character. I can't quite nail it down, but for sure.
I think if you use this one, you could have like multiple text boxes saying the same thing in different colors, like going down the image.
Yeah, maybe if you were repeating Toodaloo more than once, you could use that. But if you're doing it just the one time, then you could pick something with a little bit more pizzazz in that context.
And this is Womp.
Whoa.
This one looks really good.
So fun.
Yeah, I really like this. And I know that it has some different alternates that could make it a little more tame. Even though we like the funkiness, sometimes you need to keep a little structure. But I I'm not sure. Maybe I do like this going down. Any other T's? Ooh.
Ooh.
Toodaloo. I
Toodaloo.
like the original. The original is really cool.
It is.
So let's say we're going to use this one. Let's see, change the color. I was thinking something a little warmer.
Oh, maybe like something sunny or beachy or
Yes.
vacation.
And also this image is quite washed out, and that's great for the text to show up more and be able to be a bright color. So yeah, something like this. Any opinions in the chat? Do you agree with this choice? I think it could be angled a little bit more, which I just did. And then I'm going to make it even bigger and see what happens if I just go crazy with how big this is.
Like almost like just barely falling off the edge kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now you can't miss it. I wonder if, sorry, the way that I select this is like causing too much black and white. Okay, and then I'm thinking maybe we have some shading. I can just quickly try that out by having a new version that's a different color. Let's do that. And just putting it below in the layers. What would happen if we did this?
Oh, I like that already.
I like it.
Me too.
Can't deny it. And then we could do like even more colors and have it layered even more. Keith said, WOMP is fun, but it doesn't read well. Yeah, it is. You know, that's one of the reasons why I decided, oh, maybe we need a different L, maybe we need a different D. I think it works here, but maybe since we have double O's, that could be a little confusing because these O's are very
stylized.
funky looking.
Yeah, very stylized.
Yes. But in the interest of time, I did do this cooking show style and created a different version using KC Ultra. I think it was KC Ultra.
The wide version, yeah.
And added that shading. And I do think the concern about the readability isn't there anymore because it's a little more uniform. So we can compare. But I do like, I think if we checked if there were alternate O's in WOMP that were a little more tame, or we changed this to outlines and made it, tweaked it a tiny bit, we could achieve what we wanted.
Yeah.
I really like how funky WOMP is. And this one's a little more like toodaloo, like we're going on vacation and it'll be fun, but not too fun. And then WOMP is like, we're having so much fun. But just to show you how you can enhance an image and really bring a voice to it with fonts. So that was my little project. And let me know what you thought about using Casey instead and how the two compared, or what you guys would do instead.
Indeed. And I just wanted to, well, actually, I'll probably mention this again when I show some stuff that I put together, but all of the decisions that you made, Ari, were in line with what you already had chosen. And I just bring that up to be like, sometimes when I'm starting on something, I'm like, oh, what font should I use? when I don't have a purpose, it's really hard to pick which font I should use. But once I have a purpose in mind, once there's
Mm.
a little something for me to grab onto, then all of a sudden all these ideas start coming. And so it's like, okay, vacation, beach, vintage car, that gave you vintage font, which then led you to find these, that kind of stuff. So I just think that's really helpful. If you find yourself stuck, try to latch onto something that's, new or outside of, whatever the little box is that you're thinking about, and see if it can't pull you out of being stuck to find something that works. Yeah. Awesome. Well, I'm going to dive in and show some stuff that I was working on in Photoshop as well. I think I'm going to put our faces down in the lower left because
All
I'm going to
right.
be clicking up a bunch of tools over here. So I had the idea of doing something with city lights, the phrase city lights, and that came to me because there's a silent film
It
by,
came to you in a
it
dream.
came to me in a dream, in a dream. Um, whoops. So I love this film, City Lights by Charlie Chaplin.
That's a
Um,
cool poster.
yeah, and I don't know if any of you have seen this film, but it's fantastic, and I highly recommend it. And it's always stuck with me. And so when I was thinking of things to do, City Lights is one of those things, those phrases that just pops into my head whenever I'm thinking of something to do with text. And of course, the poster is really cool, so that helps. And you can see it kind of as an Art Deco thing going on. It has kind of it's a sans serif for sure. Um, and so yeah, so okay, we're starting from there, and so I'm gonna go look at some fonts, and I'm just gonna open up my. I'm gonna go back here, and I'm gonna open up my more from Adobe Fonts, and this will take me directly to the site. Sign me in. And actually, right away, there's a sans serif right here that I feel like has kind of an Art Deco vibe that you could use. This isn't the one I decided to use, but I just want to type City Lights in here and see what that looks like larger. And I
Sculpin.
and I feel like
Ooh,
ooh,
that
that
looks good.
like that C reminds me a little bit of that C, even though this one's a little bit
Mhm.
funkier with the different widths. What do you call that? The
Contrast.
contrast is different there, obviously. But but the straight edge of the C, you see that, and you go to sculpt, and you get that similar vibe, kind of a straight,
Hmm.
almost cut off, even though it's a little bit curved. So I feel like we could achieve something similar with that. And I'm just going to activate it because I'm here, and we'll probably want to use that in the future because it looks awesome. But also, if we go back and we just click all fonts and go to the Art Deco tag, you'll see a bunch of stuff that we could use here that would fit going for that look, I think.
Hmm.
You immediately get a vibe, which is really cool. So if you were going for something that was meant to look like the original poster, you could start here. I wanted to do something a little bit more modern looking. And I say modern because the font I chose is actually pretty old, but in order to figure out what I wanted to use, I decided to look up when this movie came out, which was 1931, and I thought, what sans serifs came out before 1931? And a very
Mm.
popular sans serif that came out in 1928 was Futura. And so I ended up on this page reading a little bit about Futura's history, which also can be another source of ideas and help you pick fonts. Um, but since this came out in 1928, it seemed like, oh, this could have been used on the original poster, but it also has kind of a modern feel. It's been used in Wes Anderson posters and titles and other things. So it's still, because it's geometric and sans serif, and that's kind of a modern thing that we see, it still looks like it could be appropriate. So came to the Futura PT page on our site and activated that, of course. And then so that's I think what I'm going to use here. And so let's just start experimenting a little bit with Futura PT. So I'm going to type out city lights, and I'm going to put this on two lines. That's not what I want to happen. I think I want that. Yes. I think I need some more line spacing here. What do you think? Yes.
A smidgen.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Norsh says, good old Futura.
Oh, it's a classic. It is a classic.
And I think the old um, is worth underlining here because a lot of people don't know that it came out almost 100 years ago. So
Yeah,
it's funny that it's seen as modern.
so right. It really is funny that it's seen as modern. Ooh, I also noticed that Futura's C has that cutoff like the original poster as well. So it kind of ties in
Yeah.
that way too, which is kind of cool. Also, one cool thing, just a note. So I want to resize this text so that it is wider and fits more of the screen, but I don't want the tracking or the line spacing to change. So watch what happens if I up the size. The line spacing doesn't change, but if I instead transform the text layer like so, it will update both of those at the same time, so I can get a better thing. So just a little tip. Okay, right off the bat, I immediately think I want a different color in the background. And so I'm going to create a new layer and fill it with something, that I can get from this image up top. Oh, and for the image, you can see the city lights and the cars. I went on Adobe Stock and I searched city lights abstract because I knew I wanted something blurry. And you could probably type city lights blurry and get the similar thing. But if you go to Adobe Stock, City Lights Abstract, stuff like this comes up immediately, which is great. So I ended up using this image here. And so I'm gonna fill this layer. I'm gonna just press Shift Delete, which brings up this dialog and allows me to fill the entire layer with a color. And if I choose color, I can use the eyedropper tool and find something. I think I want something kind of cream color and pretty bright, but not quite white. And I don't want it to be too dull. Maybe here. There we go. Yeah, a little bit on the brighter side. Oh, there we go. Okay. And click OK. And there we go. Okay, I like that much better. That ties in with the image for sure. I'm going to leave the text black for now because I just like how much it just stands out. And immediately I noticed that I kind of want these eyes to be aligned. And so I'm just going to bring out a guide really fast. So that I can align this eye with the one up top. So I'm going to zoom in here so I can get really precise. Excellent. And for this lower one, I'm going to use the paragraph tools here and just indent it rather than doing letter spacing, so that they all stay exactly the same and I'm moving the entire word over at the same time. And also this goes all the way to 0.5 pixels, so you can get really specific and make sure it lines up just how you want it. And then again, I can transform it later as needed, and this will stay the same. Okay, well, I have those aligned. So I'm going to zoom back out and I'm going to hide my guide really quick.
That's so much more pleasing to see.
Right.
I was wondering what was bothering me. It was the eyes were almost aligned.
Yeah, that looks so much more fun for some reason. I like it. I like it more.
Just wanted to say we've had a lot more people join.
Oh, fantastic.
So if you're just joining on the Adobe Fonts show, we're working on combining text with images. And we have a few people that are in the chat. We have Dia, welcome. Let us know if you've joined in the last few minutes and say hi, and we'll say hi back.
Indeed. And if you have any questions about what we're doing or let us know what you're working on, all that good stuff. Okay, so since the eyes are exactly the same shape and they're basically a perfect rectangle, it makes me also want to wonder, could I connect them? Could I do something else with them that might be interesting? Could I change the color? So first, let's just experiment with changing the color. And let's maybe make this eye a different color from the image. Maybe a red, like a red city light.
Ooh.
Right? And then maybe we make this eye a different color. Maybe this green, like a street lamp. And we see what that looks like. And now that's looking a little Christmassy because of the red and green. So maybe I'll change the green down here to a yellow, like a yellow light or like an orange. That might blend with the background a little too much. So maybe I'll go with this darker orange. Maybe this pretty blue.
I like that blue.
Yeah. Let's try that. Okay, and you can already see, it's still kind of, okay, now it looks like the top of a police car, but I didn't see that coming until I
But
tried
there
it.
are that does exist in a city,
That
so
is
it's
true.
accurate.
And if I remember in the movie, Charlie Chaplin might get arrested. So this might tie in on a whole meta level with the actual movie.
Devin has an idea. If you duplicate the eyes and carry it up as a pattern going top to bottom, it can look like road dashes in the middle of the
Ooh,
lane.
I love that idea. Okay,
That's cool.
now I know what we're going to do. We're going to make these white like road dashes, and we're going to continue them up. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I already like how that looks, even just with those two. It's already evoking that kind of idea. So I'm going to copy this. I'm just going to do Command C for copy and Command J to create a new layer with that same text. And now I'm going to move this up, but I'm going to get rid of all the other letters. Although now I messed up my spacing.
Well, you only need one.
That's true. Good call. So I'm going to get real close. And I'm just going to eyeball this for now. Actually, I'm going to bring my guide back up for the left and right so that I'm going to move this now. There. Oh.
Oh, you were already perfect.
Wow. Anyone else impressed by that? Did not see that coming.
I'm blown away.
Blown away. Unbelievable. Okay, so now that I have that set up, I am going to put this a little bit up, just eyeball it, and I'm going to Command copy it again and move that one up as well. Ooh. Oh, I really like how this is looking. I'm just option clicking and copying. And let's just do that. Oh, no. Copy. Do that right off the page. Oh, super cool.
Oh, I didn't even think of it going on the whole page. That's so much better. I was just thinking of it only in the bottom part.
Yeah, that looks super fun. That turned out super cool. Thank you, Devin, for that idea. Also, something
way to combine text and image.
Yeah, and something I didn't think of at all, although I was trying to evoke those ideas. What could I use the eyes for? My thought was to like make them look like a street lamp, right? But kind of abstractly. So like maybe connect this whole thing and have a light coming from above or something like that. But I think this is much more subtle and classy. Let me know if you like the streets going onto the page, or if you think they should just be the eyes and that's it. I like it going off above the image. And then that way the text and the image is kind of interacting more. And similar to Ari tilting that text, give it kind of a little bit of dynamic movement or just feel like it's not static. I feel like when you combine the image and the text in an interesting way like this, it adds movement. It adds something a little bit extra to give it something that, it's a still image, but you just feel like, I don't know, there's something going on. So let me know if you agree in the chat. Well, I'm going to call this done. This is the one I did before with my street lamp idea. I'll show you what that looks like. Although I really like this one more. This was the one I originally did, and I made them red. And that was what I ended up doing originally, but I much prefer this idea with the street markers.
Yeah.
The lane markers. That's super cool. So love that. And then I wanted to show just another example of maybe choosing a different style of font and going for something slightly different. So I have this one here that I did. I wanted to choose a serif, and I chose something that had a kind of Art Deco vibe, but was a serif instead of a sans serif, but had some fun angular things going on. And then I created a layer mask out of the text, and I'll show you how that's done really quick, just because that's something I love using on the regular and something I always wonder, wait, how do I do that again? So if you right click on this, you can release clipping mask. So all you need to do is put the image that you want above the text. So here's the text below here, like it was before, right? And I've actually made these the same color as the background, so you don't see them here. But if I right click here and I say create clipping mask, it will grab the text below and only reveal the image behind that text. And I thought that was a really great way to have these two images interact
Yeah.
in a fun way. And then also I added a kind of texture here, which I'll turn off and turn on. And I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see a little more what that looks like. And this is actually like an asphalt image. So here, I'll turn it, I'm going to get rid of the levels and change this back to normal. And you'll see what the original image looked like, which is like street gravel, which I thought tied in with, the city streets and that kind of thing. But then when I do all the things that I did to it, you'll see that it kind of takes, especially when I zoom out, you'll see it kind of takes on the vibe of like rain on a window,
Yeah.
or like a shiny wet asphalt
Sparkles.
or sparkles. Yeah, it kind of totally ties in with the blurry image in the background and takes on a totally different vibe. So that's another thing that's fun, is if you have, if you take pictures of textures on your phone, and it can be something like a piece of fabric, it can be something like just a piece of paper or wood grain. But in this context, you would never know that this was gravel, but I think it does kind of add this snow on the window, rain on the window. It evokes something in the final thing that gives it a different character.
It gives it a more nostalgic character.
Yeah, that's a patina, as Reverb Mike says, for sure. So that's those, and then I'm going to quickly just show a couple other ideas that I had that I wanted to show. So this was another image that I found with the same search, and I thought, it might be cool to rotate this on its side and make it a little bit more abstract. So I just, turned it 90 degrees and then made it the full width of the page. And then, that kind of looks pretty cool already. And I can already think to myself, white text on this would look really cool, right? So okay, I know I want white text. I think I want to do something with a sans serif again, but I want something that's a little less geometric. Although the reason I'm going with the sans serif here is that I kind of imagine laying out the text in a funky way, and I kind of want the letters to take up a similar amount of space, to kind of be big and chunky and almost feel like blocks. I want the letters to feel like blocks. So I did a little searching on Adobe Fonts and came across Balto, which I believe I found under recommendations and hidden gems. So that's always fun to go check out, is the hidden gems. And those are fonts that we love, but that aren't being maybe as used as often. So it's also a fun way to see some new stuff, see some stuff that isn't being, overused at all. And it's a great resource there. And I saw this and I was like, that's it. That white text right there. That's what I want. So
yeah,
I'm going to type out one letter, C, and I'm going to change the color to white. And I'll just pull a white right from here. So it's basically white, but it's also kind of tying into that as well. And I'm going to find Balto Ultra and make that a lot larger. Yes, I'm digging that. Okay, I'm making this huge.
Nice.
But that's okay. I'm going to see what
Be careful.
I'm going to show you where I ended up so I can see the text that I used there.
Ooh, preview.
Preview. But I ended up at 897.15. Okay, good. Should have memorized that before now. Apologies.
897.15. Very precise.
Yes.
I like to see that Devin endorsed the noise or the texture that you used earlier, because Devin gave us the idea of the road dashes.
Yes.
So please tell us what you think about this next one as well, because we trust your opinion very much.
So I want to space these out more or less in kind of a grid. And so I'm just copying the individual letters at the same line height, but I'm typing in obviously the word that I want to use. And then I'm going to select all of them and I'm going to spread them out equally. I'm going to equally distribute them. That's not what I wanted. There we go. I'm going to equally distribute them, and that's going to kind of give me my grid that I end up using. And I thought, ooh, it'd be cool to have this say city like this, and then maybe have lights spaced out. So LI and then GHTS would be a way that I could do that. And so this kind of gave me my grid. And then if I show my guides, what I did previously was line all these up so that I knew where those letters were going to be. And then I brought in lights. And so this basically was my original ideas. I want city in big block letters evenly spaced across. And then I want lights to go below and be kind of broken up. And this was kind of going for like a collage image thing, like the letters interacting with the text and not being quite sure which is which kind of a thing. Although I didn't take it as far as I would have liked in this one, because I just liked how it was turning out. So I'm just going to turn these off really fast and show that final one. And you can see what that looks like. Let me turn off these other letters. There we go. And let me get rid of those guides because we don't need those no more. And so you'll see that that initial grid gave me the city, which I made at a slant, and then LIGHTS put them on different lines. And I think it's still readable. I don't know if everyone else agrees.
Surprisingly.
Yeah, it works out really well. And I borrowed that same idea of connecting the eyes from the previous one, but I could also bring that same idea here of spacing them out and making them look like the border on street lanes, car lanes as well. That's again another idea I could carry over, which could be really cool. So that's this one. And then I wanted to show you just when you have a cool idea like that. I mean, I think it looks cool, but again, I'm not a professional graphic designer. This is just moving in a direction that I dig. And I want to show you another version of this that I ended up doing that looks completely different than this one, but evokes a totally different vibe, but uses all the same elements. And the only thing that I did to get from this to this was add an adjustment layer that was invert, and that inverted the colors, including the text. And then I moved the image over because I wanted some of the black to be interacting and look like it was kind of sprouting off of the letters. So I wanted more of the text and the lights to be interacting. And so that's this one. And so anyways, just another idea of messing around with a really simple parameter, which is inverting the colors and just seeing what that does. So a fun little technique to have in your pocket and to try out. And then I have a final version that I wanted to show that's a little bit more collagey, a little bit more experimental, a little bit more, I don't know, it looks a little bit more like 90s flyer, maybe, or 2000 music flyer. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But if this reminds anyone of anything, let me know. But I thought this ended up looking really cool. And again, I'm using all of the same elements as before. Even the text is the same color. I just ended up changing the blending mode so that it interacted with things below it. And you can see that what I ended up doing, so I'll show you how this worked out. This is my text layer. Always.
Bliss really likes this.
Oh, fantastic.
We have an endorsement.
Thank you, Bliss. So on the images, what I ended up doing, and you can also see I created a texture from some, what are they called again? The dots. I know what they're called. Processed, the printing dots. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh.
4 color dots.
Yeah.
Whatever they're called. I created this layer.
Tell us what they're called.
I used this technique from a previous stream that we did with John Rochelle showing how to make things look vintage, and he did a vintage comic book page, and he showed this technique,
Halftone. Thanks,
halftone.
Carol.
Thank you, Carol. I can't believe I just looked at this the other day. Thank you, Carol.
I know.
Halftones. If check out that episode if you want to see some other cool techniques for adding texture and adding vintage things to images. But I just did the halftones and then created, used the soft light blending mode, and then took it down to 50, and you can see it just gives it kind of a paper texture, especially.
This is giving me like looking through a microscope vibes.
Totally looking through a microscope.
It's
like
supposed
little
it was
amoebas.
city lights, and now it's like microorganisms.
Yeah, there's a whole world down there, I think. This is taking street water with those cars driving over it and looking at it under a microscope, and that's where we are now. So I just cut up that original image and masked it off and just created these squares below the text. And this I just kind of did with a feel. I didn't do it perfectly to a grid. I just kind of moved them around, and you'll see when I bring the text back in that I aligned it perfectly here with the corner of the T, right? Mm-hmm. But then the C and the Y, they're just kind of overlapping, and it ends up creating this very gritty, kind of cool texture there.
Gritty grid.
Gritty grid. And then this kind of creates a cool texture, and it looks kind of, overprinted, like it looks like confetti. I like that, Cody. Yeah. And also looks like I ran it through a printer maybe one too many times, at least for the red parts, like a copy machine. And that's always a look that I love myself. So anyways, that's a few. I'll just show them again. So this was the original one that we did using Futura.
In the chat, let us know what kind of movie you think each of these is.
Oh yeah, let us know what movie.
And for this one, we got comments in the chat that we should continue the eyes all the way down and have one more at the bottom, so that it's really taking it all the way through. Good. And I agree.
Call. I'm going to do that right now. Like so. Oh.
But it went away.
There we go. Like so?
There we go. Yeah.
There we go. Good call. Fantastic.
This movie, I don't know. It's a classic.
It is a classic. But don't these two feel like different movies, even though the image is the same and the color scheme is the same? Right?
Yes. But I don't know what they are.
This feels like
I don't know how to characterize.
This feels more like a Criterion Collection cover. I don't mean to that sounds like too much of a brag. I don't really mean that. That's just what it reminds me of. You see a lot of Futura there sometimes, but I think I like this one too.
Yeah.
And then this one doesn't look like a movie at all. This just looks like a poster of some kind.
This looks like a poster for an event, like a talk that's going to happen, actual lights are going to be lit one night, and so there's an event.
And then this kind of really gets away from the whole lights thing altogether and just looks like microscopic things, but I still like how it looks.
The science of the city.
And again, you could change the text and use this same inverted image in the background for something else. Maybe that's going to give you a cool idea for something that you could use later. And then finally we have this, which I think looks like City Lights the band, and this is a flyer for their band. This is what I think this is. Come see my punk band called City Lights, is what this looks like to me.
Devin says it looks like a poster you would see for Evanescence or Linkin Park.
I'm not sure which that was in reference to, but
I think it was this, because it was before.
Well, I don't know. I'm gonna take that as a compliment. So we'll just go with that. And we're coming close to the end of the stream here. So that's it for me. Everyone, if you have any final thoughts or questions or anything, let us know in the chat. I wanted to let you all know, Behance, that's where you can follow us. We announce all of our future episodes on Behance at Adobe Fonts, and you can find the archive of all of our shows there with the descriptions and links to the videos and all that stuff. So if you enjoyed this, most of the stuff we go over is kind of evergreen and is basically useful whenever. So if you enjoyed this, you can check the back catalog and see what else we have there. And then also we have a user voice where you can let us know ideas that you have about Adobe Fonts, the feature and the service, and how you'd like us to do things in the future. And also you can message us on Behance and let us know ideas you have for future streams. If there's things that you'd like to see from us, that would be fantastic for you to share. And then I wanted to mention that at 9:30 a.m., Ryan Selvey is going to have Swoop Nebula on. So if you're around right now, stick around for a few more minutes, and that stream's going to be on. And then at 12 p.m., Annika Agarwal is going to be on with Ryan as well. So I would go check that out and stick around.
And Annika is always watching us.
Indeed.
So that'll be fun.
So check out Annika at noon Pacific. Awesome. Well, thanks everybody. We'll see you next time. And Ari, thank you again for joining me for the Adobe Fonts show.
Of course. Pleasure to be here. To see you all. See you next time.
Bye, everybody.